name is Hi there, my name is Bridget, and I am the founder of the Personal Chef Business Academy, and I am also a personal chef. I've been a personal chef for the last 10 years, mostly working in New York City and in San Francisco. And I'm here teaching this class today because for years I spent a lot of time making mistakes with what I was charging with clients. And I spent years way undercharging and not looking for the right clients that were willing to pay me what the services are worth, because you spend a lot of time and energy and effort as a personal chef, especially physical energy, because it's a lot of work. So you want to make sure to be compensated for that energy. And so you guys are here because you either have a personal chef business already, or you're thinking about starting up a service. And I know that the number one question that people come to me with is, how do I price my services? And so today we're going to go over that, and I don't want you guys to be stuck on figuring out what to charge. And the reality is you are going to be, but hopefully this class lets you get a little bit unstuck. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to turn off this video and share my screen and get to the presentation. Okay, present to everyone. Perfect. Okay, so by the end of this class, you're going to be able to figure out a pricing formula that works for you, because this is going to be different for everybody. You're going to be able to know exactly what you need to think about when determining your prices. You're going to find out why you should never charge by the hour. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how I determine my own pricing formula. So the first thing we are going to go into is your money story. So I don't know if you guys can see this slide. I am sharing my screen and maybe it stopped working. Oh, there it is. Perfect. Okay, so is your money story dictating your prices? And I have to talk about this because where you come from and what you believe in relation to money is going to influence how much you charge. And one of the major issues with pricing is that you're going to have a different perspective on what is a lot of money depending on where you come from. So if you're transitioning from restaurant work and you've been making $12 an hour for the last 5 years, then you're going to think that $25 an hour is a lot of money. But if you were coming from the corporate world and have been making $80,000 a year for the last 10 years, you are not necessarily going to think that $25 is a lot of money. And you're going to think that's a waste of your time. So much about charging comes from your own background with money. And that's something that we need to work on in order to charge the prices that make sense for the amount of energy that we use. I know that I was just looking through old emails of when I was planning my business in 2004. And I was emailing a friend from cooking school. And one of the things I said was, I cannot believe that some personal chefs start charging $40 an hour. And in retrospect, that was what I believed in 2004, before I ever lived in New York City. I was coming from small town Canada, where my parents didn't have a lot of money. I had never necessarily made a lot of money, and I thought that and I was doing regular work, where working at a catering company, or working just I had a job working for cooking for daycares in Montreal, and I was making $13 an hour there, and that's the normal fee. So I thought that $25 an hour, which is what I started charging when I first launched my business, I thought it was a lot of money. And in retrospect, I feel kind of silly for having charged that little, even right off the bat. So, okay, so which brings me to how do we find that sweet spot? And by sweet spot, I mean finding a price that makes you a little bit uncomfortable, but that is going to get you the job. And what I mean by that is that it's really scary sometimes to give clients a quote, and you want to give them a high enough quote that you feel compensated for your energy, but you're scared because you really want to get the client, and you don't want to give them a number that is too high because you're scared that they're going to go and look for somebody else. So finding that number is crucial and hard, and it's really about finding clients that are going to value your services, and that are not going to be, you do not want the clients that are price shopping. Unfortunately, they exist, and there are people that are going to try and take advantage of you, people who want your services for the least amount of money possible. And sometimes you're in a tight spot and you got to cover your bills, and you take the job. And I understand that. That's part of running a business. That's just part of life. But what you really want to do is get your marketing systems in place. You want your branding to be great. You want to figure out either some strategic partnerships or SEO, or just ways to get your business off the ground, so that you don't have to take on the clients that are not respectful of your time and your energy. Okay, so this is the first set of questions, and we're going to go through more questions in a little bit, but this is the first set of questions to ask yourself when you determine your pricing strategy. So the first one is, where do you live, and what can people realistically afford where you live? I know that I am in between San Francisco. I'm in San Francisco, and I'm also in Fresno. My husband is in Fresno, and my business is in San Francisco, and I have somebody else cooking with me right now because I got a little bit burnt out traveling back and forth all the time. And I have to say that it is much easier to build a business in San Francisco because people, there's a lot of busy people, and the median income in New York, in San Francisco, Chicago is going to be higher, and there's a lot of people that need the services because they lead really busy lifestyles and value being healthy. Whereas in Fresno, I can also find clients, and I have found clients here, but I do charge a little bit less, and that's okay, because the cost of life here, I can get a 3-bedroom house in Fresno in a good neighborhood for the same price. You can't even get a studio in San Francisco for the price of my rent right now. So it's So it really just depends where you are, and if you know that there are people in your area that can really afford your services, then you charge accordingly. Okay. The other thing is, and I see people not doing their research, and they come to me and they're freaking out because they don't know what to charge. And sometimes, to be fair, you do research on other personal chef services in your area and nothing comes up. I did have in the next slide, you'll see I aggregated a spreadsheet of personal chefs around the country and their pricing structure. And it was difficult for me to do that research because not everybody puts their prices on their website, and to start emailing everybody would be a lot of work. But it is worth doing this research, because even for me, doing this research was a very illuminating experience. So let's take a look at this spreadsheet. So here are some personal chefs around the country. So we have New York City, Miami, Washington, D.C., Austin, Denver. So varied, big cities, but there's also New Jersey and in there, and Dallas, which are still big cities, but not as big. So if we look at Portable Chef in New York City, he only does individual meals delivered. So he charges $32 per dinner. He has a $22 delivery fee. And so if he delivers, I don't know, if he delivers 20 dinners a day, I don't know exactly how he does this, maybe he's got somebody delivering the food for him, then he could probably do okay. But this is more of a volume business. You've got to make more food and you're pricing it per portion, which I have a friend who does this in San Francisco and she's making a killing. So it's doable, but you need a bigger client base, so you're gonna need more marketing. And it just takes a little bit more work, I think, to get the business to a level. But once you do, I think you can do really well with it. So let's look at personal chef Lucia in Miami. So she does 5 weekly meals, 2 portions, $3.75, and she charges extra for the groceries. And then 5 meals, 4 portions, $4.25. So she's got pretty high prices. So 5 meals a week for a family is going to cost you $600, and if some people are willing to pay that. So let's see. Let's look at a New Dawn in Chicago whose prices are actually much less. So 5 meals, 3 portions, $3.25, and that includes groceries. And that's going to be, the grocery cost for that is going to be at least $150, because anytime you have five different meals, the grocery cost is always going to be higher. If you have 3 different meals, then the grocery cost is less, but because you need less ingredients. But so she's got the 5 meals times 4 portions, $400. So she's making probably $250 from that cook date. So hopefully this helps you sort of understand what other people are charging around the country and the importance of research. So the next thing is, what are your key services? This is something that you get to choose. This is your business. This is yours. You can set the tone. You can, if you want to only do dinner parties for under 10 people, that's totally fine. If you want to be a business that caters dinners for 20 people, that's totally fine. I know that I will not do dinner parties for more than 12 people because I find dinner parties to be very stressful, and I do them occasionally, and I enjoy the challenge, but it's not the kind of stress that I want to deal with on a regular basis, especially not with numbers that are over 12 people. So that's my personal preference. And as far as weekly entrees go, I so much prefer to do only 3 entrees. And we do offer between 3 and 5 entrees, but goodness, my preference is making 3 entrees at once is ideal. And some chefs, so if we look at Jesse Miner, he's a personal chef in San Francisco. He's a vegan chef in San Francisco. He's got one service. His service is the weekly meals, but it's only 3 entrees, and I don't know how many portions, but he charges $400 a week, flat fee, includes groceries for vegan food at under $100. So he's making about $300 a cook date. And you know, that's decent. If you make $300 a day, 5 days a week, that is pretty good money. So, and also there is another service, Jill Donefeld, who is an amazing business lady that I'm going to be interviewing soon. She has a service called the Culinistas, and you probably want to check out her website because it's really cool, and she's got a very smart business model. But she charges $400 per cook date, and I think she makes five meals, between 6 and 8 portions. I think that's what I saw. And that's all she offers. So it's basically food for your entire week. I think it's around $400 plus groceries. I could be wrong, but my point is she only offers one service, and that's it. So you don't have to offer everything if you don't want to. And that is kind of a relief. I think it's a relief for me to know that I don't have to do everything or be everything. So that brings me to, should experience play a role in pricing? And this is a yes and no answer. There's caveats. If you're starting with 0 experience and you're not feeling secure about what you're doing, and it's important to you that it's important to you to know what you're doing before you charge full price, then that's perfectly okay. If you've been working in the food industry for a lot of years and you have experience working in big name restaurants, then of course use that in your marketing and use that to leverage higher prices. I know that if I had Per Se or French Laundry or something really fancy on my resume, I would definitely use that to raise my prices even more. So the bottom line is, pricing lies in your branding and in your marketing. So if you have a brand that communicates quality and taste and people, and you've put some effort into making a nice website, choosing good photography, and really bringing out the best, putting your best professional foot forward, then you can charge more because you're projecting the image of being able to charge more. And that is what positioning is. And that's how big designers like Prada or get to charge a lot for their clothes, even though they're not necessarily, even though a pair of Prada shoes might not necessarily be that much better quality than the same shoe from a lower brand. So this is a question that I get a lot. Should I charge per hour or should I charge a set fee? And the pros and cons. So the more hours you work, the more money you make if you charge per hour. But the issue that you will probably come across with this is that as you work for the same clients, you will start to get faster and the job will take you less time. So less hours, less money. I know that jobs that used to take me 4 hours now take me 2 hours. And I've just become a lot more efficient, and charging per hour doesn't really make a lot of sense because I use the same amount of energy. Maybe I use less time, but just because my skill level has increased doesn't mean that I should be charging less money. And I had a really bad experience with this years ago with a client that I started out charging a hourly rate to, and it started taking me less time. And with the time, he just added requests. So basically, he started asking me to cook for his friend. And that was okay because he was a single guy and I was just cooking an extra portion of the food that I was making for him. But then he started asking me to deliver to Pacific Heights in San Francisco. And this was an hour from Burlingame where I was cooking. And I was like, no, I'm not doing this. And I did it a few times, but it was so much energy. So sure, instead of taking me 5 hours, it was taking me 3 hours to make the food. But no, I don't want to deliver the food to the other end of the city because that's just the amount of energy that it took me to do that was not worth it. So that was a learning experience that made me realize that charging per hour was not the best idea. And ever since then, I just charge a flat fee and a very set service so that there's no question about the client trying to ask me to do more work that is not in the contract. So I'm gonna go over how I determine my own prices. And I have to be honest about this. I'm a little bit lazy and I don't like to have complicated price structures. I know some people do, and I respect that. I am just not that person. And so my pricing structure, we do between 3 and 5 entrees. It's $300 for 3 entrees, $325 for 4, and then $350 for 5. And that's between 2 and 4 portions. I don't think it's really that much more work to do 2 or 4 portions if it's family packaged. Once you start packaging everything individually, then yes, 4 portions is definitely more work. But we always charge groceries as extra. So food cost is not part of the fee. And for dinner parties, we do an average of $125, $150 per person. And if I'm just doing a dinner for 2, I will probably do it for around $300 or $350 plus groceries, mainly because dinners for 2 are pretty much the easiest gig that you can get as a personal chef. If you're making a 3-course meal for 2 people, it's just so much easier than a regular cook date. I mean, you do have to be there and serve the food and make it nice for them, but you're making a dinner for 2. That is so easy compared to the 16 things that you're normally cooking at once or having to do this for 12 people. So cooking classes in San Francisco. So this is San Francisco versus Fresno. This is definitely a place where I can charge more in San Francisco. So cooking classes between similar to dinner parties, $125, $150 per person, not including the food cost. And in Fresno, I cannot even come close to charging those prices. I had a client and I was charging, it was $200 for a couple of meals and plus food, and she just wasn't into it. And I think I could probably find some people to pay the prices here, especially if you're teaching people to do gluten-free stuff or teaching people who need to overhaul their health and food life, that really want to learn how to cook. So your pricing structure is going to be different than mine, and that's okay. And the things that you really need to think about is, the first thing is have a minimum set fee. Somebody asked me in the webinar yesterday if what she was charging was enough, and I don't think that she necessarily had a minimum set fee, because she was charging $25 per meal for 5 meals for a client. So basically, including the food cost. So basically, you're making maybe $60. And if you have zero experience, you've never been to cooking school, you're not confident, fine, do this for, a couple of months or until you find other clients. But you need to have a minimum fee that is going to be the lowest number that gets you out of the house. So for me, I will not do anything for under $200. There's no way. It's not worth my time. It's not worth my energy. And even $200 is not a great motivator at this point. So find a number that motivates you for a job and use it, and put it on your website. So even if you don't post your rates on your website, at least have a range. So what do your prices start at, and maybe what do they, I don't know if necessarily what do they end at, but at least have the minimum on your website so clients know when they contact you. So clients have some expectation of what, how much things are going to be when you call them. So my next point, have an earning plan. So how much do you need to earn to make ends meet? You want to work backwards. So how much money do you need to pay? How much money do you need per month to cover your bills? How much money do you need to make per week? And then figure out what you need to make per day to make that happen. And that's what you need to charge. So maybe you have a key service that is the five entrees a week for $300, and that's all you offer. And this way you need to find 5 clients that are going to pay you that fee. So that's $1,500 a week. Or maybe it's $200 a day. Maybe you need to make $1,000 a week. And so that's 5 clients at, $200, and that's it. Okay, so in order to get these clients, you are going to have to bust your ass at marketing. So that is creating systems, putting systems in place that are going to generate a high number of client inquiries so that you can get the clients that you want and get the clients that value you, that you like, that you want to work for. We do this because we love it, and we want to find clients who love us, because finding clients that make your life miserable is just a surefire way to make you hate this work. And I've had my share of clients that were annoying, and I'm so glad that I was able to get to a point where I don't have to have those clients anymore. And I have clients that I love working for and that love me and that are willing to pay me for my services. So marketing is hugely important. And I started the Personal Chef Business Academy so that people could learn how to create better marketing systems. In the course, we talk about meal planning and client intakes and all of that stuff, which is super important. But the foundation of your business is your marketing. It is your website. It is your network. It is all of those things, and those things come first, because if you don't have those in place, you're not going to get clients. So, um, so I put together a little list of money resources because you need to keep track of your money once you start making it. And you also really need to get straight with your money story, because I know that that's gotten in the way of my own pricing strategy, and I've had to do a lot of work to get over it. So um, as far as accounting systems, I recommend QuickBooks or FreshBooks. QuickBooks is very thorough, and unless you have a bigger business with a lot of different services, I think FreshBooks is probably the way to go in terms of their invoicing system allows you to invoice people online through PayPal, but the magical thing about that is that they have two boxes that you can check off, and one is a $50 flat fee, and one is a percentage. And if you choose the 50-cent flat fee, basically all you have to do to get people to pay you online is pay a 50-cent fee, which is so much better than having the 1% or 2% charge taken off the invoice in the first place. And I'm kind of old-fashioned, and I think a lot of personal chefs still operate this way, but a lot of people still just pay by check. And check is awesome because there's no fees and it gets deposited right away, and it's just so much easier, and there's nothing gets eaten. The money is yours. As far as money books, the energy of money is a little bit woo-woo, but it's one of the books that has really helped me get over my own money blocks. As far as business goes, Profit First, just learning to pay yourself first is also useful, because if you, as a personal chef, you don't have a lot of expenses. But if you're trying to grow a bigger business, then the expenses become bigger and you need to learn to pay yourself first. So, and then your money or your life. So really learning to value your money and your time, which is so important. Valuing your energy as a personal chef, because you're going to be expending a lot of it, and it's important for that to be valued. So that is it for today. And you can find me online at whiteapronchef.com or by email at bridget@whiteapronchef.com. And I do consulting, and I also have the Personal Chef Business Academy, which is a program that, like I said before, is about really helping you get those marketing and business systems in place to get your business rolling in a way that is going to make you real money. So it's definitely worth it. It's worth it to work on your business. It's worth it to work on this stuff. Don't give up. It takes time to build a business, and it's not going to happen overnight. It takes persistence, and it takes just doing whatever you can to make it happen and not giving up, because at some point it will happen and it's going to be amazing. So I hope you've enjoyed today's presentation, and if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. If you have any questions about the Personal Chef Business Academy, feel free to email me as well. I have a do-it-yourself program, and I have, which is basically the 11 modules that are going to be delivered to your inbox. And then I have a mentorship program, which is where the modules are also going to be delivered to you, but is more where we do some one-on-one work together, where I really help you get clear on what the best copy for your website, how to price things, how to set up SEO on your website, all of those things that are really important and critical in setting up the foundation for your business. So I hope you've enjoyed today, and I hope you've learned something about how you're going to figure out your own pricing formula for for your business. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.